Remember searching SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. I am Fahima Mohammed, your relationship coach, as well as your host for today. Really excited for another episode, and I want to welcome all of you who are streaming, whether it's on Sky, channel 752, Facebook or Twitter. A very, very warm welcome. You are also welcome to join in the conversation for the rest of the episode, for the rest of the hour, and make sure you do so by calling in on 01924231083. Please do ask the bill payer's permission, as standard network rates do apply. You can, however, also contact us anonymously and for free on our WhatsApp service, and that number is 07585 835 150. Today, we have another guest discussing another topic regarding I want it and I want it now habit. You might think that, no, that doesn't really happen in this day and age. We understand patience. We know what it's like to wait, especially for that potential spouse. But unfortunately, we do have an issue. And we're going to go straight into that with my guest tonight, who is streaming all the way from Southwest London. We have Omar Daudi. Assalamu alaikum, Omar.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Fahima.
How are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah, I'm good, thank you. How's yourself?
We have last few days of Ramadan, and I'm really excited that you are with us and giving your time. Really appreciate it. It is actually quite an interesting topic, an important one as well, because I think it really does hold us back. We're going to go into the topic a little bit, but first, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I'm an executive and life coach. My coaching journey started maybe 6 years ago now. So in the corporate space, I do a lot of leadership and team coaching there. And outside of the corporate space, and more on the one-to-one side, on a more personal level, I do one-to-one coaching to people who just want to, get themselves from one place to another with regards to their goals, what they want to achieve, what direction they want to go in their lives. I mean, that's kind of the gist of life coaching. So that's what I do. Also, more recently now, I'm excited to have launched a new something specific to the Muslim community, which is called the Muslim Mindset for Success, a program which helps Muslims define their success, be more empowered to overcome whatever challenges that are in their way, and just be okay in their journey towards their success with regards to emotional, physical, and mental well-being. And that's all from a Muslim perspective. So that's what I'm excited about right at this minute.
That's really, really interesting. I'm going to ask you more about that program a little later on. When it comes to goal setting, do you think that we can look at relationships as a goal setting idea or plan, or something that we can actually work towards, similar to a business? Or do you think it's slightly different?
I think you can, to a certain extent. We're all in our different places with regards to all the different goals in our lives. And obviously, for some of us, getting married can be different, can occupy different levels on that priority. For some people, it's absolutely imperative. This is what needs to be done now. And for some people, it's, it's something, if it comes my way, or I would like it to happen, but I have certain priorities that I want to fulfill, or certain goals that I want to fulfill in my life before that can happen. Or that's a bigger priority with regards to my family, my education, my career, etc. But yes, it can easily fit in there as a goal in your life. But it's one of those things that is very personal. It's very there could be a lot of emotions involved, and at the end of the day, from our perspective as Muslims, it's something that we know, like many of our things that we want to achieve, it's in the hands of Allah.
Absolutely. I think I've come across a variety of people, and especially when they are in the business world, it is part of a goal to get married. And like you said, it's a different priority. Sometimes it's, I need to get that house. I need to be financially stable. And especially for men, because they are the sort of like holding the household most of the time. And they feel that they want to get to a certain stage in life so that that part of their life of finding a partner or a spouse is basically going to be at another level. And it is kind of goal setting. And sometimes, like you said, it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. Now, when it comes to I want it and I want it now, and also goal setting, especially when it comes to business, we do have like a timeline. We do work towards wanting it in a particular way. We don't think that we need to necessarily have patience when we're in business. It's more about striving, getting it, working hard. Do you think we need to have the same attitude when it comes to working towards getting a spouse? I know there's different stages, and I'm talking about firstly, people that have never been married, and then also the ones that are already in a marriage when it comes to having patience. Now, I know a lot of people that have had patience and they're doing everything, and they've even got their career on track. They've got their education, and they're like, Fahima, I just can't find somebody. There's no one out there. What do I do? I'm turning into a certain age. And this is not just women. This is also men I've just recently had a conversation with. And they are trying to be positive. They're trying to be happy. And it's very difficult to sort of not have that, I want it now, kind of, way when you're ready for marriage. What stops you from feeling and thinking like that when you're ready and you've waited, you've had the patience? What do you do next?
Yes. Well, you've highlighted one of the key points there, and the key differences between what you may be experiencing with regards to your goals towards your business or in your career or other aspects of your life, such as, if you're trying to pursue a career or something business related, there's generally it's easy to map out the steps you need to. You can work backwards. You start with your end goal, and you can look at what steps you need to take, how you need to build it, what resources you need, who you need to network with. You can sort of map that out in terms of everything you need to put together to come to that to your goal, to your eventual destination, and that's quite almost algorithmic, almost mathematical, if you like. But as we know, it just doesn't work that way with regards to seeking somebody for marriage and fulfilling that goal. There's a lot more involved. You're talking about interacting and putting a plan together on a much more human and emotional level. And it's a lot more complicated. You have values that you hold as a person that you're seeking in someone else. You have a certain criteria that you're seeking in another human being. We're not talking about a car. We're not talking about a house that needs to have this many bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, etc. It's somebody, it's emotions and feelings involved. And it's not just, it goes beyond just ticking boxes of what you want in a person, in a spouse. It's also that feeling you get when you interact with them. So
absolutely. I'm glad you said that, actually. And I think, we do need to separate the fact that when we're looking for something like materialistic, different to an individual, because sometimes we do try and map out that person like we would, like you just mentioned, like getting a car. And even if you were to map it out to a certain extent and you find that and it ticks the boxes, people change even over time. And that's why relationships are very volatile, and they can go up and down, and we're not ready for it. We're not prepared for it. And even if we think we've got everything at the beginning, it changes. And then we expect the same person to either remain the same, or we complain that they're not having a growth mindset and they're not changing with us. There's so much to talk about. Now, you've given us a great introduction. We are coming into a break very shortly, but I just want to highlight that this is a live call-in show. You are streaming from wherever you are, whether it's Facebook Live on Sky Channel 752 or on Twitter. We are taking your messages, your calls to answer any of your queries. It is really important that you do participate, you do engage with us, because this is your show. We're trying to highlight some of the issues that you have really raised for us to discuss. And I make sure that I do try and acknowledge and engage in every single person that do reach out. And I just also want to thank our guests for today for being with us, as we have professionals and experts every week so that they can give you their perspective, their insight, and you can get some free coaching, advice, guidance, whatever it is, for free on the show if you want to actually participate. Now, if anything is triggering you in any way, because sometimes we do go into conversations that can actually maybe irritate or be negative to your mental mindset, make sure that you do contact us on BritishMuslim.tv/support. We are here to take care, and these shows are mainly to raise issues for your education and for your relationships to thrive. That's why we have this each week, discussing it all the time. So again, I just want to say that we do have many, many things that we are going to discuss. We're going to be talking more with Omar after the break, but we need your engagement. We need your interaction. This is the last few days for Ramadan, and relationship is part of our deen. It is part of our journey, and no better way than even to ask in the last few, days that are remaining. And inshallah,
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. Really excited to talk to my guest today, Omar, who is discussing about having patience and us wanting what we want now. Now, I think when we come to business and our careers and our life in general, we can map and we can plan things. And to a certain extent, we can have, whatever outcomes we want in a particular way. But unfortunately, when it comes to our relationships, we do find that people have, worked their way up, where they've had education, they've had careers, and now they're at a certain age where that patience has run out. And it is really a struggle for a lot of people to actually maintain that kind of patience in order to strive and be happy and content and fulfilled by themselves when they know the clock is ticking, especially when it comes to women who are now, we have statistics which show that women are getting married a lot later because they're finding it very difficult to find a spouse. Do you think that is, though, or do you think that we're becoming more demanding, more different in our need for relationships, and that's why we are getting married later? What's your take from your experience when it comes to marriages happening a lot later and older in life?
Yes, Fahima. I think we do get preoccupied with a lot of things in our lives, and we can put these things, get distracted on our everyday, not every day, but other goals that we have in our lives that can delay that. I think, we're all looking to, when we're looking to get married, we're all looking to fulfill something for ourselves for whatever reason. We're looking for that companionship. We're looking for that happiness that we know that we can get out of a marriage. We're looking for all those happy moments that we have that we're looking forward to within a marriage. And ultimately, that is what's going to, and this is to do with, this is how Allah made us. This is how Allah created us to want that companionship, to want that interaction with the opposite sex. It's innate within us, and when we do get that, it's ultimately something that's within our human nature that's going to make us happy. Now, a bit of a setting the scene here. We live in a world where gaining happiness is just a mouse click away, or a tap on the screen away. Entertainment, social media interactions, sitting down, and I need to define here what I mean by happiness. I'm talking about those pleasurable moments that we have in our lives, those pleasurable, temporary time of enjoying something, having that excitement, enjoyment in our life, whether it is, eating ice cream, watching our favorite series on Netflix, or eating ice cream while watching our favorite thing on Netflix, hanging out with our friends, playing video games, whatever it is, going out to eat. That's what I mean by this happiness. And those things are more than ever just at arm's length away from us. We're just used to, we can, when we want something shopping online, we can get it the next day now. You can get it tonight. And now you can get your groceries. I mean, you and I live in London. I don't know if this occurs outside of London, but within London, you can get your groceries within 10 minutes, right? So this is the kind of fulfillment of our happiness, or these happy moments. How quickly we're expecting these to be fulfilled, and that and that's something that's also society pushes as well. That if you have these things and if you get them now, you will be happier. If you get this car, you will be more popular and then be more happier. If you get this particular brand of clothing, you are a better person. So this is something that we have gotten used to. And then when we're not in any way, shape or form getting what we want in terms of these things that will give us these pleasures in life, it becomes very, very frustrating, very, very frustrating. And to answer your question, what I would say is that we should try and shift away as best we can from this kind of mindset of, I get everything now, because we do, by and large, 99% of our lives, we do get everything we want. Now, particularly in the West, though we live quite affluent, comfortable lives, many of us, and specifically within the single, talking about the single people who are single in our community, while they're single, they can actually build around them quite a comfortable and pleasurable life around themselves with all the things that are available now. So you just get used to that. And that, whilst that's great while it's happening, when in those in-between moments, when those moments of happiness are not happening, it can be like, well, where is it? I'm not happy right now. Where is my next bout of happiness? When's that going to come?
I agree with you. I'm glad that you've said that, actually. Before you move on, I just wanted to just reiterate what you said, because I think we are in a society and in a different kind of generation where it is a time where we get everything very easily and very quickly. And we have become accustomed to having that. And we're not learning the patience, because we're not given the space and time to appreciate patience. Even, I guess, we've just come, over the pandemic, where we had to go through almost 2 years of, undoing the norm that we are used to, yet we still had, like you said, deliveries, to our door. Everything was kept to us. Obviously, we didn't have the social interaction, but at the same time, we are very used to our comforts. Now, do you think, because we are used to comforts, we're getting things at a click of a finger, literally within like hours or, a couple of days, if not less, that we are not building that resilience and the patience? And if we do have patience, what does that mean even? What does that word patience mean? Because a lot of us we're waiting, but we're waiting, in frustration. That doesn't really encompass patience. Let's describe and define what is the real meaning of being patient, and how does it show up for us as a Muslim, especially when we are trying to build it as a habit? Because I think that's what needs clarification here. Is what is actual patience? What does it look like?
Yeah. On your first point, yes, I think we are, heading or being conditioned, if you're all allowing ourselves to be conditioned in that way, whereby, this is what I'm used to getting and this is what I demand. And going beyond past the, single Muslim community, even within the marriage, this will have, when you are married, this can have disaster, because within a marriage, amidst all the happiness and pleasure that you have within that, there is there's tests, there's disagreements, there's annoyance, there's pain, there's discomfort, Okay, and we're sort of conditioned in our lives to only seek comfort and pleasure, and discomfort is a bad thing. So that's something, even that your single Muslims watching right now should think, beyond getting married. That's something that's going to be very, very relevant, and it can have such a disastrous effect that they can get married and be back on single Muslim again, which is great for you guys, but not what any individual.
Well, we
really
do
wants
have
to
a
do.
question come through actually, because obviously people are watching on the Single Muslim platform as well. So this is more of a related with relationships specifically. It says, it's anonymous, and it says, Salaam alaikum to Fahima and Omar. And they state that it can be extremely difficult in a world of Muslim men, as they say, lower your gaze. But as girls in the non-Muslim sort of like environment, they dress showing their skin, and especially now in the summertime, for example, and it's really difficult to try and practice your faith, especially during Ramadan, to be in a particular way and have that patience and not actually, go out of your faith. How would you advise a young man to be patient when they are living in the West and they actually are trying to fulfill their deen and stay single in a halal way? What would be your kind of suggestion to that? I mean, does it take a certain maturity or understanding? Because I really don't believe it's anything to do with age.
No, probably not. But let's first acknowledge that it is extremely difficult, especially living in the West, to adhere, to be okay in this environment and not be affected by it. It is extremely difficult. So that needs to be acknowledged off the bat. I think for men, it's really is a matter of protecting yourself. So it's not what I think doesn't work. What doesn't work is raw willpower. Raw willpower is, as far as I'm concerned, is just overrated, because it means that every time you're in that situation where you have to lower your gaze, or you're seeing something that you shouldn't be seeing, and you have that you have that conflict, you have that fight going in, that inner fight going within you. Just on one hand, you're a human being, you're a man, and this is just your instincts. On the other hand, that you're answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is not the way that you should be conducting yourself. So that's what I think is you should be protecting yourself on a wider scale, so that you don't have such a big inclination towards overstepping the line, if we can use that term. So making sure that you're being close to Allah, making sure that you're close to the Quran, making sure that you that behind closed doors, when nobody else can see you, that you are a single, uniform, consistent personality. So when when you're on your own and you're alone with your phone or your laptop, that you are and not having anyone to account you are consistent in terms of your adherence to the lowering of the gaze, and knowing and being really conscious about your accountability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think that's really important. So I think if you practice this discipline in all facets of your life and have a uniform personality, this will make it easier when you're in those.
Well, I hope that's answered the question, because to be honest, you've given a great response, and thank you so much for that question. But we are coming into another break in a few seconds. Make sure you stay with us. Thank you so much for interacting, and inshallah, we will see you shortly. But keep those questions coming through, as I will be answering and saying more to that to our guest. See you in a few moments. Don't go away. See you shortly.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. Really excited to be speaking with Omar today, and he really has given us some food for thought. And I think it's really important that we do get a man's perspective. They don't normally talk about relationships. They don't open up about what's in their mind. And I want to get into a man's mind, and especially when it comes into relationships. And I know you don't represent all men, but I think it's really important that we have more men speak, because I think that they can be really great in their business, in their career, but we need to know about what's your thoughts on relationships, because a lot of women have issues with regards to understanding what men mean and what they are doing. And we have a lot of female coaches out there, and they coach other females. So I want to build that bridge and that gap so that we can put it together, because obviously we need to alliance, and we need to be in teams, and we're not here against one another. We're here to collaborate as Muslim men and women, whether it's in a professional way or to find your potential spouse. We do need to also, even with the Islamic segregation, we still need to interact and collaborate so that we understand each other, so that when we are entering into a marriage, there is no disparity, there's no confusion, there's no misunderstanding. And I think we do need to have more open conversations like this for that reason. And so I'm really grateful to have Omar with us tonight. And thank you so much for your question before the break. I hope that answered it. We were talking more as well before that question with regards to what is the meaning of patience. And I think you kind of answered that a little bit, even in answering that question. From my understanding, it's also creating habits. So again, if you can give me a quick definition on patience while I read the next question ready for you that's coming through, Omar.
Sure, I would say, and especially in the context of somebody looking to get married and things not going the way that they want it to go, I would say it's being okay in that process, being okay in that situation. Not necessarily have to be over the moon and with a skip and a hop about the situation, but just being okay and still moving forward with your life, still moving forward with regards to the other goals in your life, still being productive, still being resourceful in yourself and what you need to do with your life, and ticking those other and keeping those other aspects of your life which are so important to you besides marriage going and moving forward. And and of course fundamentally in terms of our identity as Muslims, being content with Allah's decree, because that's what it is. You know, unless there's something you're doing extremely wrong, you are making effort, you are taking steps, just like if you're trying to get a job, you're taking the adequate steps to get yourself to that destination, to get yourself the victory in the marriage, in getting married. But it's not happening, and being content that this is from Allah despite your best efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to add to that, actually, because my way of believing and thinking as well, especially also coaching a lot of individuals. And I think we need to understand our self-talk. And if you are patient with belief that it's going to happen and have trust in the process, I think that's also very powerful, because when you don't believe in something, then even if you're content and trying to feel fulfilled, but then you are talking down at yourself and always negative and not having the trust, then that can also manifest. So we need to be careful of our mindset. We need to be careful of this. We have another question come through. I think it's from the same person. I don't know if it's someone that you know or anyone that is random, but it says, thank you for sending and letting my question come through in today. But a question for Omar is, who is your celebrity crush? Is it Frankie Bridge? I don't know who that is. And have you used the Single Muslim app? And they actually do agree as well with you, saying that love does not happen overnight. You need to obviously, to find a good spouse, you need to remember that it cannot happen overnight. It does take time and patience. So it's up to you if you want to answer that. I know there's some personal questions that come through to our guests, and,
right.
It's really up to you, but I'm going to put it forward anyway, so you can take it away. Sure.
Right. That is quite an interesting question. The first one, I'm with you on that, Fahima. I have Frankie who? I have no idea, unfortunately, who that is. The second question, that's very loaded. Well, am I in SingleMuslim.com? I don't know. No, I'm not. Should I be? Should I be? No, I'm not. I'm not.
Okay. Well, I don't know your actual relationship status anyway, but we're going to get people that are going to be questioning regardless, even asking for your details. There are people that are probably coming through. This is how it works. That's absolutely fine. You need to put yourself out there if you want to put yourself out there. I do appreciate people engaging, and I do appreciate people asking questions, and it's really interesting because people are struggling today. People are finding it very difficult to be patient, to be waiting. Like I said, they've gone through the steps, but again, I would reiterate that if you are struggling to be patient is to have trust. And what we're talking about here is not having the habit of wanting it now, but having the habit of having a different viewpoint on life. Now, do you think that men and women's patience are different? Because I've come across many, many people, and they are high flyers in the work industry, in the professional mind, where they are top of their game, especially women. But when it comes to relationships, it can really tear them down when they don't find that relationship, and they can fall really easily when they even just speak to somebody. They might not even be interaction with people, right? But there's an expectation when there's even conversation between men and women, and men can be a little bit, and I am generalizing here, but from what I've heard, the majority of the time, men can be a little bit aloof. They can be like, yeah, I'm just chatting, no big deal. But the women, at the end of the day, they are falling hard just from a few weeks of conversation. And they can even be heartbroken without meeting that person, right? Because they've got that full-on expectation when they're talking to somebody. Now, do you find that similar? And why is it such a difference that, as much as men and women may still have that desire for a relationship, but it's so much more meaning, so much more emotion, so much more expectation from a woman that they can really be heartbroken. And coming across women that have just been speaking to another person online, and it ends without meeting, for whatever reason, without even an expectation, without even, and I'm like, but did he say he's going to marry you? No, but still, he broke my heart because that was the expectation when I speak to somebody. Now, where do you think the patience lies there? Where do you think that, some sort of insight or knowledge, or what is it in your mind that makes you that way and makes us this way a lot of the times?
Well, firstly, I'm glad that you have sort of outlined all of the differences there, so I don't have to do that and put myself in a difficult position of creating stereotypes, etc. But obviously we have to acknowledge that the difference is there, that we've all experienced it, and I think it is just fundamentally is just the different way that we've been made up as how we've been created. Even when a guy and a girl start talking, maybe there's more often than not, there's different initial things that your eyes are focusing on, or your mind is focusing on in those initial interactions. And I think for a woman, it's a lot more deeper. There's a lot more meaning behind it. There's a lot more, it's the way a guy was speaking to her, the amount of attention he was giving her, the fact that he noticed this, and these can have, we can look at these as just words as men, but they're amplified so much when they're received by the woman, and it has so much more impact in such a short space of time. Whereas a guy, it's not on that such a deep level.
I'm really happy you said that, because I do think that men and women do define things differently, and we do have different meaning, and our brain is slightly, it may be same biologically, but it's definitely wired, in a different way.
100%.
And we do take things to another level. And I've tried to sort of change my own personal way of thinking, so that I do have a little bit of a mind that, of an understanding of a man's mindset. And to a certain extent, it can be intimidating to men when you actually understand that as well. So, we need to get that balance right. But I do have another question, actually, with someone that's saying, as Fahima say, even with Islamic congregation, rather they are Muslim or not, do you think men should learn and listen more to women? And why do you think so many women are very unhappy in marriages? Is it because it's arranged marriage, or being reason and how they are married to a stranger until marriage? I mean, this is a generalized comment, I think, because I don't think not all women are unhappy marriages. I know of, even though I deal with a lot of negativity, I see a lot of really successful marriages that do happen. But I do feel that this question is something that we do need to address with regards to men listening to women more. Do you think that men listen to women, or do they just say yes without even understanding what is being said?
Definitely in that respect, I would have to say there's probably a difference in wiring, as you pointed out. I think one of the main reasons is that men. I guess I can only speak from my own perspective here. Yeah, sorry.
More logical.
More logical, and also are more. Can only think about one thing at a time, and you need to see that point through one at a time. Where women had this amazing ability to have like 10 of these things, processing at the same time, and we just need to say, look, steady on. We need to get through this one point first, and then we can move on to the next one, and then the next one, and it appears that we're not listening. It appears that we're not listening because we're only focusing on one sentence, one item, and just focusing on that. Whereas where women can say, well, you're not listening. You're not listening because there's so much more I said there. But it's difficult. It's difficult to take.
I think you highlighted something really important, and I'm glad you said that, because you really have put it into perspective. And I think it's a really good answer that you've given me. And actually, the way in which a man thinks is probably the healthy way. Because studying neuroscience, we need to focus on one thing at a time. And when you juggle too much, it actually does damage our brains, actually. And we're not actually listening ourselves as women if we are juggling too much. So we need to be a little bit more patient. So I think, this is what it is, where we can learn from each other. Now, this is a really interesting conversation. I'm really happy that, people are sending their questions in. Really appreciate it. We are coming into another short break, but I do want to highlight that please keep sending your questions in. I'm going to answer the second part of that question shortly when we come back. But so far, please do keep sending your questions. Really happy that, we are trying to be, useful, and hopefully, inshallah, we are answering your questions as best that we know. We have studied, we have learned. Understanding human mind and behavior is interesting, and we just want to share this kind of insight with all of you. Make sure you stay with me. Don't go away. We have so much more to ask Omar, and inshallah, we will be back in a few moments. Take care and see you shortly.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the final part of this episode. You're here watching Single Muslim Live on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. It's gone by way too quick, but I really do appreciate all your questions. We only got to answer half of the last question, and I want to continue straight back into it. Really appreciate you engaging with us and sending your questions in. So the first part was, should men listen to women? I think it's vice versa personally, and Omar did mention that we do have a different meaning attached to, different genders regardless, and it's not bad or good, it's just different. And it's not to say all women are like this or all men are like this, but there are certain instances where we can say that there is, a balance, and there's a tip on certain levels where, men can be a little bit more focused and logical, whereas women can be very emotional at times, and they want to address more than one thing at one time. So yeah, we do have to understand that we are slightly different at certain moments in time. Now, when the other question was, why are so many women unhappy in marriage? Like I said before, I don't think it is just women that are unhappy in marriages. And I don't think there's a lot of women that are unhappy in marriages. Maybe that's something in your circle and your network. I do come across very, very successful marriages. But yes, there are definitely a percentage of men and women who may be unhappy in their marriages. So let's address what could be the reasons for that. What's your thoughts on this, Omar, with unhappy marriages amongst men and women. Why do you think that is? And nowadays, actually, I find it can be even at the very beginning of that relationship. It doesn't even have to be years later where they realize, okay, I'm not happy. I've had a lot of newlyweds come to me being really unstable and unhappy very, very early on.
Well, Fahima, firstly, I agree with your point that if we're talking about women being unhappy in the marriage, most likely, more than likely, it's going to be that they're both unhappy. I think the difference might be that perhaps women may speak about it more, be a bit more talkative about it with people. Men might not be as open about that sort of thing until like it's finished. Secondly, I think there's a whole, you can do a whole program, you can do a whole week's worth of what reasons people are being unhappy in the marriage. It could be so many different things, ranging from just clash of value, the values are clashing, not spending enough time with each other, just reaching points in their lives where they just want to pursue different things, and their values change, and they just want new things in their lives. It could be something really devastating, like either the husband or the wife doing something extremely extreme that will destroy any marriage, if you know what I'm talking about. So infidelity and that sort of stuff. So
do you think, though, because this actually referred to arranged marriages, do you think that we have got an issue about arranged marriages? Like, my understanding of arranged marriage from a faith perspective is that, you might ask your parents to look for you, and then you still get to know that person. But a lot of people still practice where they meet their potential spouse literally days, weeks, or even on the day, and that is still practiced. And, sometimes it can be quite terrible for them to just meet someone straight away. I'm not saying we need to meet and know for months and years, because even those relationships still end sometimes as well. What's your thoughts on those hardcore arranged marriages that the pressures put on the individual from families, and they do exist in our Muslim community? I want to address this because I don't think that we are talking about the taboo topics which are painful. And there are so many youngsters in this generation that come to me saying, my parents, we have to do it this way and that's it. She's going to come from either back home. It has to be from my community. They're the ones that decide. They're the ones that choose. And, they don't have maybe the freedom or the experience to maybe go out on their own and say, you know what, I actually want to choose for myself and what I'm happy with. And I want your input. I want your advice, I want your guidance, but ultimately the choice is mine. Do you really think that, in certain cultures and families today, in even the UK, that we don't have that, and that's why there is unhappy marriages?
Right, yeah. So in terms of what you termed the hardcore arranged marriages, I'm not sure where we are with that in the community. I guess it's still there. I think, coming now, second, third generation in the UK, for example, is it maybe, perhaps if I was to guess, maybe less. But that hardcore arranged marriage, I think what it is really, if the child, if you like, is just going purely with what their parents are telling them to do and not having a say in it, and perhaps not being too happy about it, but just going ahead with it, I think that's like a gamble. I see it as a gamble. It could work out fine, but equally, you're just throwing the dice with that one. And
I think that's a safe word to describe it, is a gamble, actually, a real gamble. Because I know some people have mentioned that, it actually worked, but more and more it's, I don't know who this person is, and I've just been thrown into it. And it is kind of scary, and sometimes a little bit where it's a little bit unfair, because it's not even about the hardcore arranged marriage. It's the manipulation of certain parents and families that say, if you don't do it this way, then, I'm your mum and I'm going to be upset. And, Jannah is under my feet and you need to do it my way.
Yeah. If you do it that way and it works out fine, then alhamdulillah, that's fantastic. If it doesn't work out, then you really do need to ask yourself, did I was this a best efforts here? Did I do everything I can to make sure this is the right person for me? And the answer will easily be in 2 seconds, no. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what type of person they were. I didn't really get to know them to any extent where I can make an informed decision. And so if it doesn't work out, there's a lot to look back and say, you know what, it's easy to say, this was kind of doomed from the beginning, because it was just, like I said, it was just a throw of the dice. That's not to say that there is advantages of doing things those way, with the families knowing each other, and that being surrounded with people who are going to support you, etc. Obviously, those are advantages there, but ultimately, it's something you need to be very careful about.
Yeah, I think also when it comes to our Muslim community, we have evolved a lot. And I think generally there isn't so much of a majority issue. It is a minority challenge that we are facing, but we are born into the faith with regards to culture, and we need to separate that. And if you are struggling with your family, if you are struggling, bring the faith first, and let's follow that first and foremost. And let's have, conversations and, lots of dialogue with understanding the faith first, because I think that needs to prevail. And I think anyone that's struggling out there, you need to know what is your real purpose and meaning in life, as much as you need to look good in society and amongst your community people. To be honest, ultimately, you need to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your family needs to understand that too. So be strong enough as a Muslim adult child of your parents to be able to communicate that. And you can only do that with conviction and with confidence if you are educated yourself in your deen. So 100%. This is why you need to know your religion first and foremost, apart from your cultural norms. And that's what's going to set you free to actually live in this world in a fulfilled way, not just for your spouse, but in all areas of your life. And I think it's really important. Now, we are coming towards the end of the show, and I want you to give me some, final takeaways, some thoughts, people that are struggling out there. We've got about just under 5 minutes. And I also want you to share your details, because I think we do lack male life coaches who are actually addressing relationships. So people do need to turn to someone like yourself. And inshallah, if there are brothers out there that are struggling and they need advice and guidance, please do contact Omar. He's definitely experienced. He's definitely got the tools and the strategies. So I'd love to give you that final words in the last few moments. Omar, please.
Thank you, Fahima. Well, there is one point I wanted to make off the back of asking the question, why are some people unhappy? Why are some women unhappy in their marriages? And one of the points I wanted to make on that is stop. One thing I just want to I couldn't emphasize enough. Stop looking at other people's lives. Just stop looking at other people's lives. And obviously I don't need to tell you this, we live in an age now where everybody's life, or the surface of their life, is on display for everyone to see. And it just looks picture perfect, air sprayed, I don't know what the term is, airbrushed, whatever. Face looks fantastic, background looks fantastic, the man next to you or the woman next to you looks fantastic, your whole life looks so enviable. Nobody knows. It's easy to look at that and say, why is my life not like that? But nobody knows what's underneath. That could be a very pretty picture on top of something very, very ugly underneath. You just don't know. And to take that so seriously, and to take that on board, and sort of maybe subconsciously look at your own situation, your own house, your own spouse, and have that, making those links, it's just so dangerous. And we really, really need to move away from that. I can't emphasize that enough.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think the comparison that we make is dangerous. So absolutely wonderful. Tell me, where can people reach you if they need any sort of further assistance?
Thank you, Fahima. Yes, the easiest way to reach me is go to omardaudi.com. That's OMARDAUDI.com. Register your details there, and I can get in touch with you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it. Inshallah, you enjoy
Absolute pleasure.
and make the best of the last few days of Ramadan. Thank you so much, Omar, for being with us today. Inshallah, everyone that's watching, again, it's been an absolute pleasure to host for you. Thank you so much for your engagement, your messages, your comments. We really, really appreciate this. I wish you all a blessed rest of the Ramadan. Make sure you keep me in your prayers, and inshallah, do the same for everyone out there, as well as have a lovely Eid. Make sure you join us next week at our usual time at 9:30 p.m. And we will see you on another episode of Single Muslim Live with another guest. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And inshallah, we look forward to plenty more conversations. And inshallah, we will see you shortly in a few days' time in the new times. Make sure you don't forget that it's the new time of 9:30 p.m. And again, thank you to my guests. Thank you everyone for watching, wherever you're streaming, or your comments and all your engagements with us has been absolutely amazing. Inshallah, we will see you next week. Send in your comments, because inshallah, I will definitely make sure that I listen to you and have further episodes for your needs. Have a lovely evening. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Omar. It's been absolute.